So next up is the designated 4-star of this update, who is rossi-11, who came in like a pretty big surprise for me. I thought he's going to be a 5-star for a future update, but there he is. So let's go over his abilities. His first signature ability, the Arcade, sounds pretty bad at first, but it's actually quite interesting, because what this one actually does, it pulls enemy into a barrier and their shots can't go out, but your shots can go in. Sounds pretty OP for PvP in my opinion. His second signature ability is a simple damage dealing signature ability, but also generates an overshield for yourself, but only for yourself. Talking about his super, the Photoelectric Gate, this one actually looks so cool in my opinion. What he does is actually he's going to summon a huge barrier, and obviously shots can't reach you, but the barrier has a health pool, so it can go to 0 and disappear. But what happens is whenever an enemy is passing through, they will receive a lot of damage, and you can also reactivate that ability to push the barrier forward. Again, this one sounds pretty OP for PvP too. His passive is actually quite interesting to the Ionic Protection. So what this one does is all of his abilities contribute to him getting overshield. Again, the signature 1 and super don't directly generate an overshield, only the second signature ability, but all of them will contribute to him receiving an overshield. So this one's actually pretty nice and has also very nice synergy with his weapon mastery, the Ionic Cascade. So as I've said, the Ionic Protection, the passive, grants him overshield, and whenever his Ionic Protection gets activated, he will also receive a stack of weave, up to 3 stacks. And what this weave does is this one will add AoE damage to his weapons, especially to his auto crossbow when we're looking at the level 4 enhancement. So overall, his abilities have very nice synergy, with all of them giving you an overshield and the overshield giving you extra damage. So when you look at his kit, I think it's actually pretty clear that he's not intended to be a group-orientated PvE character. He's going to really shine in solo PvE content and especially in PvP content. So looking at the talent tree from rossi-11, his copies, I personally think the first 3 add a lot of value. I mean, if you get them by accident, it's obviously a nice plus, especially the first one sounds pretty cool and it's going to be a lot of fun in Iron Bar. So when we're looking at his weapons, again, for him available is the new Battle Pass weapon, the Trinity Ghoul, which, as I've already said, it looks decent, but it doesn't stand out as much to me and doesn't have like insane synergy potential with other Guardians or Lightbearers, as it's said in Destiny Rising. I personally would advise you to use the Mahamayuri on him. I think a lot of you guys, like me, have already invested a lot into this weapon because you're using Ningfei, and they are actually quite similar in a way that they shoot 3 bolts instead of 1 bolt. Again, those are getting narrowed down whenever you're ADSing. So I'd personally go for the Mahamayuri, and other reason for that is that the new bow, the Yoshimoto, has some great perks. As I've already said, with Hellhast, for PvE I'd go with Archer's Tempo and Shiver because they have great synergy. Both of them rely on either precision blows or precision hits. And for PvP I'd go with Emboldening, Support or Annihilation, and in the second column with Ensured Yields, as again, when I'm playing PvP I'm not looking for anything that relies on stacking or kills. I want my PvP weapons to be consistent. Of course, this one does also rely on final blows, but you will also get a damage increase whenever you haven't made a final blow and have only landed some hits, so pretty nice. So talking about the artifacts for rossi-11, in the first slot I'd definitely go with the Ring of Abundance for PvE and PvP, because again, all of his abilities will contribute to his overshield, the signature 2 ability on his own. So this is actually a very great artifact for him, and also very consistent artifact without CDs or anything. In the second slot I'd go with the Ring of Safeguarding in PvE and with the Binging Planetesimal in PvP, because I'm personally not the biggest fan of the Binging Planetesimal, but in comparison to the Ring of Safeguarding, this one has no cooldown. In PvE content you can look over set cooldown because you do also have the heals and buffs from your teammates. So again, for PvE Ring of Safeguarding, PvP the Binging Planetesimal. In the third slot I'd personally go with the Ring of Morale for both PvE and PvP, and I mean this one's kind of obvious. When you're playing rossi-11 you will get a constant overshield again and again. All of his abilities will trigger it, and whenever you get an overshield you will receive damage bonus, even though it has a short duration, as you will getting overshield a lot, this one's actually made for him. In the 4th slot, I'd go with the Ring of Reflection for PvE and with the Bellicose Planetesimal for PvP. Reason for that is quite simple too. Ring of Reflection is great, although you will get a lot of overshields with him. I'm not sure if they are as constant in comparison to Yolder's Super, for example, but whenever you're in PvE content, again, you will have other teammates, they will grant you overshield, you will benefit a lot from this. But because in PvP, obviously you can't rely as much on teammates, I'd personally go with the Bellicose Planetesimal here. As I've said, the Planetesimal set is universally applicable for PvP. Great set. So, my final verdict for rossi-11. As I've said, I think he's going to be a god tier PvP character, especially for Iron Bar, where the maps are like really small and everything. You can work a lot with space and with your first signature ability and your super. And also, because I don't think he's worth investing materials into, and for Iron Bar that does not matter. Same with shifting gates. So, in my opinion, again, he's going to be a god tier PvP character, not so much for group PvE content. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy. Hope you have a very great time playing the game, and I'll see you in the next one.